You're listening to The Extraction, conversations on the systems and strategies behind dental practice growth with Colin Ambler and Kyle Bergman. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Extraction. Your host, Kyle Bergman, joined by my co-host, Colin Ambler, who is the co-founder, CEO of Team Care. And today we have special guest, Eric Vickery, president of coaching at All-Star Dental Academy. Today, we're going to be talking about all things non-clinical and how Eric got into the world of dentistry. There's a nice segue there into all of the aspects that come with growing pains and making sure that your team is saying the right thing on the phone and off the phone, because it doesn't just start with cancellations, but it starts in the chair. We're going to meet Ricky Bobby. We're going to meet gingivitis, and we're going to talk about a lot of other things. So stick around. Eric, thank you so much for joining The Extraction. We're honored to have you. How are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a great time of year. Thank you guys for having me on your podcast and connecting. I'm excited. It's one of my favorite topics, of course.
I love it. And speaking of your favorite topics, it wasn't always your favorite topic. One of my questions that I like to ask, and I know you do a bunch of these pods, so I also want feedback from you on if this is even an original question or are you getting this on every podcast? But I want to know what got you into the business of dentistry, because no one, when they're 8 years old, we all want to be firefighters and astronauts, wants to help people with case acceptance, but here we are. So what brought you into this world?
That's a great question. Actually, it's a very unique question. And it's one of the things I actually talk about with our coaching clients is unless you're a dentist or a hygienist, you probably got into dentistry on accident. It's not something you pre-planned for. My accident came via marriage. Father-in-law is a dentist, and I have a business degree. And he said, look, I'll teach you how to run a small business. You want to be an entrepreneur? I'll teach you how to do it. And in May of 1998, I sat down and as the son-in-law, they gave me a title office manager, and all the other ladies looked at me and said, "You don't know what you're doing. How are you the office manager?" It was a huge mistake. Learned a lot from the mistakes, and I hated dentistry for about 4 or 5 months. And then we got into systems and verbal skill training, and I went, "Oh, I can get behind this." And the reason I was so frustrated was I didn't know what I was doing, obviously, but the cancellations drove me bonkers. It was really, really frustrating. Everybody was doing their own thing. Nobody was communicating, and I needed a system, an approach, training, a guide to help create more intentional outcomes that we wanted, more success. And once I figured that out, I fell in love with dentistry and realized, okay, this is the place I want to be. And I loved it so much. The results we got in that practice were incredible that I said I have to go out and preach this too. And so started coaching offices in 2001, and it's been a blast. I love it.
Awesome.
So I want to piggyback on something you just said. I think I mean, cancellations is such a hot topic. Your initial frustration, was it more around the hygiene side of cancellations or the doctor side or both?
So I think both, but I hate using the word but they happen more frequently in hygiene. It's just a cleaning. It's just a cleaning. So the case presentation verbal skills we learned and we teach apply to hygiene today to prevent the hygiene cancellation in 6 months. So we use the same exact verbiage on a $30,000 case that we do on a $250 hygiene visit. We have to have the same sequential thought process because your customers, the human brain, the non-dental human brain, is thinking two things. One, it's just a cleaning, so they have no value or urgency. And two, they don't know how you schedule, so they can't respect it. They think you're just like everybody else. Well, the eye doctor, the chiropractor moves me around wherever I want. This is just a clean. Just put me in for something. If it doesn't work, I'll let you know. I don't know what I'm doing in 6 months. These are the things that they say. And we have a systematic approach verbally that prevents that from even being part of the conversation, shifting their mindset and going, oh, I see value and urgency because it's not just a cleaning anymore. And oh, now I understand how you schedule and I can respect your time differently. Let me commit to something in 6 months. And the 4 steps that we use in that is, I know that's not what we're talking about today, but the 4 steps we use in that conversation is really simple for hygienists to use, for admin to support on the phone. And so our goal is 3% cancellation rate on doctor schedule. So less than an hour a week, and 5% on the hygiene schedule, about 1.25 cancellations per week on hygiene. That's our target and our KPIs. And we hit that target when the verbal skills and the systems are being used consistently. You can't just use it for a month or 2 months or 3 months and then let go because it all unravels. Entropy, right? Yeah.
Those are
So
those are some serious results. One of the first modules that I ever built within Team Care was just around what you were talking about. I'm curious to hear how you quantify it. One of the things that we did back in the day, and then it evolved, was we would snap a photograph of the schedule at the beginning of the day. and then we would, count how many appointments did we start the day with, and then reconcile what happened at the end of the day. When we got still today, we're pretty sophisticated with this because we've done it digitally. We've captured the schedule, saved it, compared it, looked at what happens at the day. And I know most offices are probably north of 20% cancellation in hygiene. And
Yeah.
so for you to say that you have it down to not just a single digit, but 3%,
Low.
5%, what did you say?
Yeah. So post COVID, it actually grew. We actually are now higher than we used to be. So it's now up to 5% hygiene and 3% doctor. Yeah, that's our target.
Wow. And I mean, I want to talk about the case acceptance side of things here, but even hygiene obviously feeds the beast. A lot of so many of the dental industry is hygiene oriented. And when you look at, we often look at average production value per hygiene appointment,
Yes.
and the average is maybe $750 nationwide. It depends for this and that. Maybe you have a different number that you benchmark, but saving one appointment a day is a
Mhm.
big
Yeah.
deal.
1 hour a day is about the equivalent somewhere around, depending on where you are geographically, 40 to $45,000 a year. Now you have 2 hygienists, that's $90,000. So, and a doctor's about 110 to 120 a year, 1 hour a day. So that's a lot of money. Now you start adding to that. Just go ahead and extrapolate. Well, it's more than 1 hour, it's double that. You start growing what that cost is. And you go, holy cow, you mean we can use a simple verbal skill that takes 30 seconds at the end of every appointment to prevent that from happening, even if you cut it in half? The national average is 33% cancellation rate. That's because clinics, Medicaid practices, things like this, they have a 55% no-show rate. That's why they double book hygiene, because they're counting on half the people not showing up. So we get it down to 33 because we're at 20 in the GP practice, the one doctor solo practitioner, more regular family practices. So we know if we can cut that in half, get it below 10%, we're winning huge with a practice, winning huge, and patients are getting healthier. That's the better part. Maybe we do a
Yeah.
part two of this and we talk about just preventing hygiene cancellations. But I believe case acceptance is preventing cancellations. I don't want somebody to say yes to me now and just no show later. The frustrating part for me was watching that happen and taking that time $500,000 practice and turning it to $1 million office in 2000. That was a big deal to have $1 million practice in 2000. Solo doctor, 2 hygienists. I went, whoa, this works really well. And not that it's just about the money, but we knew the money meant people were getting healthier. The practice is healthier because patients got healthier. And yeah, I think KPIs are super important to know if what I'm using, the verbal skill, the system I'm using is transpiring and turning into a result that is worth it.
Yeah, amazing. So they're really fascinating, and I won't make you spill your secret sauce and your recipe on the air. Maybe next time. But
I'm fine. Anytime you guys want, I'm fine jumping into it. Yeah. I don't know that people like a podcast for training, but they do like to hear numbers and that there are results or things you can do and awaken something inside you to say, wait a second, we're not doing anything there. We're saying things, all right, you're all set. Well, let's get you scheduled for your next hygiene visit.
yeah,
Let's go up front and see Betty. She'll get you scheduled. And then going up front, tap the desk. That doesn't work. That doesn't change
so,
results.
so I think with when you have these systems, there's often this leadership or enforcement component to it. The system needs someone needs to sort of make people do it, or there needs to be some force of that. When you guys coach systems, I mean, I think there's obviously the KPIs that measure how you're doing. Implementation wise, not so simple. It's just, hey guys, we're going to say something different now, right? Just talk to us about the cultural shift that you see go on in offices.
Yeah, I would call that buy-in, and we have a couple different ways for buy-in in our world. It's come to our case acceptance mastery program, 1-day training that I'll do for the AGD in March in Chicago, or we'll do our own May event in Fort Lauderdale. And we case acceptance mastery means start to finish, phone call all the way through preventing cancellations in 1 day, drink from the fire hydrant. And then there's coaching where every month we're sequentially teaching and training the verbal skills that go to that. And so they have buy-in either way. Either they have buy-in because they sat through the event and went, wow, this is awesome. Or they're meeting with a coach every single month and we're assigning a team lead to that topic. And every month we're doing a check-in with that team lead saying, hey, for the last 30 days, how's it gone? And you ask them in front of everybody and they go, wait, I was the leader of that? Okay, and you have to replay it, and repetition is the mother of mastery. I mean, we need repetition in our lives as human beings. We have too much information coming at us too often. So we need repetition in our life. When you have a coach, we need to have a systematic training, have leadership in your practice that allows that to happen. Buy-in has to start at the leadership. We teach leadership a lot. We have a leadership retreat for doctors. We train integrators in the practice to lead as well. But you have to have this trickle down effect, because if the doctor's sitting over there on her phone during the team meeting and scrolling while we're teaching something, the team's not going to have buy-in. So you have to have a full buy-in, and they're looking to leaders saying, am I willing to do this? And these days with Gen Z, they're thinking, what's in it for me? Immediately they're going, okay, so you're asking more of me, what's in it for me? Not, oh, let me go crush this, show you I can do this, so you get a raise or a bonus like we were talking about before. So there's a lot of I don't know what you'd call it, but it gets messy in trying to clarify how this is done. Our system is teach, train, create accountability, watch leaders, maintain with one-on-ones and things like that. So we integrate a lot with leadership and with practice management systems, including verbal skills. So yeah, accountability is going to be huge for a practice that wants to grow.
Yeah, awesome. And this is a problem in almost every dental office, and I think people are out there looking for solutions. I think that there's just a general feeling across the industry that says like, I know I could be doing better, but my team's not running as a group, or we don't have great systems, stuff like that. This is really compelling stuff. And please give me a little bit of a brag book. If you can get down to single digits in hygiene, what are the kind of effects that you guys observe in the doctor side of things? And I'll give you one more point to run off of, because I think there's probably a lot of people out there like me that if you feel like there's a lack of a no-show rate, or a poor show rate in the doctor appointments, one of the first weapons that I would jump to is to start taking deposits or having payments for treatment plans. It feels like that's just an old school common thing to help guarantee attendance.
Mhm.
Tell me and everyone else some of the latest and greatest that you've gone so much further down. There's got to be more to it than
Yeah.
just that.
I'm not a fan of policy. Policy is a PC word for threat. You do that, we're gonna hit you with this. And when, what, 20% of your practice is creating a problem, you're gonna punish 80% who are great. I feel like I'm a great patient who walks the 80-20 rule, right? I feel like I'm a great patient who walks in. I walk into a practice and I sit in a beautiful reception area and I see a placard on the wall that says, hey, if you don't show up, we're gonna charge you. That's exciting. Wow, it makes me feel really warm and welcome. I'm here. Why would I need to read a sign? I'm already here. Or I walk up to the front desk area and I see another placard that says, we expect payment at the time of service. Now, if you're in high demand and booked out really far and you want to filter something because your business is so successful, let's talk, down payments and prepayments and all of this. One of our niche parts of our coaching is insurance freedom. We're all about practices being compensated fairly. So I've been helping offices resign from all dental insurances since 2001. So that's what we did in my father-in-law's practice. We dropped Delta in '01. So doing that well means you have to have really good relationship and really good communication skills so people adhere to what you're doing instead of threatening them or else. Do this or else. So I think if you have really good verbal skills, now there is a place probably to punt to, you're out of here. Even for a you're out of here patient, I'd say, look, this is the third time you've missed this appointment. We're not going to penalize you. We're just going to ask that you pay in advance to show up for your appointment. If you don't, there it is. There was the fee for the appointment. You want to reschedule again? Prepay for it. I'll keep rescheduling if you've prepaid. Now that's for the bad apple. That's for someone who just doesn't really care no matter everything, no matter what you're doing. But for everybody else, if you really speak effectively, effective communication, I say often, the coaches probably get tired of hearing me say this, but the answer always lies in effective communication. Almost always lies in effective. And think about when things don't go the way you want, it's because we haven't communicated effectively enough with your team, with the patient, with your spouse, with your kids, whatever it is. So how do I effectively communicate with this patient so that they get it, so they keep the appointment? And that is, they buy in to the problem of what's happening. They want a solution. They're not told they need a solution. And then we reduce friction with financial arrangements so they're very comfortable with it. They schedule with the right verbal skills as well. And we have someone that's committed to a time, a length of time. They know what's happening. They signed on the dotted line. Now, if one of the options for payment is prepayment, say 5% and pay in advance, great. There might decrease the chance of them canceling. It might tell them, hey, I've already paid you, put me where I want. I don't know. Again, you can effectively communicate in a way that decreases the chances and of them canceling their appointment, or especially no show. No show is pretty rare in our world. That means somebody's sick or something tragic has happened in their life.
That is That saying, Eric, I am stealing that. Policy, can you say it again
Yeah.
for the people in the back, as they say?
Policy is an effect. Policy is a PC term for threat. If you do this or don't do this, we're going to do that. So let me give you nobody likes to be policied. That's not a customer service thing. So let's just jump into it. So if Ricky Bobby cancels their appointment, I'm on the phone with him last minute and he says, "Yeah, can't make it. It was just a cleaning, blah blah." Oh, well, hold on. Hold on 1 second. Put them on hold. Don't make it easy. So we call it "oh, not okay," because a lot of administrative team members go, "Okay, well, let's find another time for you," that they go right into it. No, I'm slowing down like molasses right now. And I'm doing everything I can to show them this is a big deal, that it's not easy, because if it's easy to reschedule, they're going to keep rescheduling it. I'm going to drag them through a bit. And I don't even have to charge them to do that. I go look up in the charts, a hygiene visit. I can see where the hygienist, we always say for gingivitis, right? Ginger, the hygienist said, whatever the reason for return was, some condition, inflammation on their gum tissue, a heavy calculus, whatever it is, I'm going to get back on the phone and say, I can see in Ginger's notes that she was concerned about a significant thing. It's not just a cleaning. And because of that, her recommendation was that we see every 6 months, 3, 4, 6 months. The reason I bring that up, Ricky Bobby, is her next available spot isn't available for 4 more months. That'll put you 10 months in between visits. And I know she's going to be really concerned, as I'm sure you are, about what's going on there. Are you sure there's any way you can keep this appointment today? No, I can't do it. Got to go fishing. All right, Ricky Bobby, let's put you out there. And as I put them out there, they're going to say, if you get something sooner, will you let me know? I just want to strangle them a little bit through the phone. I say, oh, well, Ricky Bobby, because Ginger's schedule is the way it is, people aren't rescheduling their appointments. However, like I said before, I know she's going to be really concerned about this. Let me talk with her and let me see what I can do. Then we hang up the phone. And then I go in my PMS and I put him on the ASAP quick fill list, but I don't call him up a day later or a week later and go, hey, I have an opening. Because as soon as I say that, hey, I have an opening, what is in Ricky Bobby's mind, what just happened in our practice? We got another cancellation, right? We got
Someone
another
canceled.
cancellation.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody else did it, which now lets him off the hook and tells him it's okay. It's not okay. So I have to change my verbal skills. We call it willing to see you. And I say, I talked to Ginger and I was right. She was concerned. And so she said she'd be willing to see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3 if you were 100% certain you could work that in your schedule, Ricky Bobby. How does that sound to you? Now, I'm doing a lot. I'm just giving you the words. I'm not giving you the system that I'm using to teach this so it sticks. This isn't going to stick. This is just like, oh, that sounds good. And I want to listen to that again. There's specific things, steps I'm taking you guys through, and you're just hearing the result of it. But honestly, this is the cart. We're way down the line. This is the 8th hour of our training. And so there's so many things that we teach and train that prevents this phone call from even happening. And I can't even say to Ricky Bobby, I know she's concerned about this issue, unless 6 months ago she was saying, hey, I'm really concerned about the inflammation, the tartar and all this, and following the case acceptance formula to plant the seed of commitment in 6 months. What I'm saying on the phone is an echo of what we've been doing already. It can't be, what are you talking about? I've never heard this before, Eric. This doesn't even add up. Are you sure you have the right Ricky Bobby? You know, you have to follow the system to make that work. Now, that may not stop today's cancellation, but the molasses effect is I never want to wait 4 or 5 months for my appointment ever again. I'm not calling them to do that. I'm going to move something else. I'm going to change my other things in my life to make sure my dental appointment is a priority to me. When we make it easy to reschedule, guess what happens? It's easy to reschedule. You get me
Of
fired
something.
up.
I'm cutting Kyle off. I'm hot about this.
Please,
I
please.
have a kind of future problem because I've seen this in our own office and I've seen this in other offices. Your system is wonderful, and I have every confidence that it has and will and always work. Now, if you play that out over the course of 1, 2, 3 years, the schedule almost gets so full
Mm-hmm.
and patients become waiting for too long because you're so good at
Yeah.
filling and keeping the schedule.
Yeah.
And I, I find that some offices, some business owners are like, some people are willing to grow. They're willing to hire the next wave of associate and hygienists or open additional hours or knock down walls and build operatories. Some people aren't. And so have you found that to be a reality of your program working too good in a way where schedules are full and maybe new patients are blocked out or the practice reaches a flat line?
I haven't yet, but I do know what you're talking about. That's a good problem to have. I mean, there's always insurance freedom that will take care of this. If you need to thin the
Mhm.
herd, we'll just look at what insurance plans are you in and go, well, yeah, you're being really cheap for some people and other people are paying a lot more. Let's just do this effectively where you resign from insurances in the right way and you lose 15% of those patients to have a 45% increase
Mhm.
in fees for the 80%, 85% who stay. It's always a mathematical win and that will thin the herd a bit. I mean, look, vision is important. And we always start in our leadership training with what's your vision? Where do you want to go? And some doctors want more providers, some just want to maximize where they are. We are never in a position where we say take less than 15 new patients a month. It's always, always one new patient a day, comprehensive exam, adult new patient. Look, people are going to leave the practice anyway. Two unfortunately pass away, two move away, two quietly quit, and two verbally quit. I'm switching offices. So you lose 8 patients a month per doctor anyway. So to get 15, you're just trying to maintain a healthy level of growth. But if I do run into that, Colin, I'll make sure I let you know because we haven't run into it yet. But man, that would be interesting for someone to go, yeah, I think I'm done growing. But dentistry's funny because we're not a commodity. We're not items on the shelf. And there aren't many professions where somebody would go, yeah, let me go stand at Target and look at the shelf that's empty and wait for 4 weeks and 6 weeks to see if I can get one of those products. They just go to another store. But yet we'll make someone wait 4 to 6 weeks for a new patient visit and think that we're just so great, people want to wait for us. They're hanging up with you and they're calling somewhere else. You want to know why a new patient isn't showing
Of
up.
course. Of course.
You've gotta have a system in place where your new patient's coming in within 7 days, and we'll help you with that system, of course. And new patients are lost leaders, so you can't have 60 new patients a month and be a comprehensive exam practice doing arch full mouth dentistry. It won't work. You can do consults that way and see 35, 36 plus, but you're not gonna see as a single doctor and do a really, really great job going north of, I don't know, 25. I don't have to treatment plan it, but I wouldn't wanna do more than 25 full mouth comprehensive treatment plans a month and think that I'm the rest of my day is scheduled ideally. And maybe I have room for that because I have so many cancellations. Maybe that's it. So you're right, though. It's all connected and it will hopefully lead to a busy problem that there's a different solution for in the end.
Well, Eric, you put on a small master class here, and it was really impressive. And then Colin, of course, had to say, well, if you're joining All Star Dental Team Academy and you become an all star of an all star and you have Jedi level retention and growth. And what's funny is that I think Colin, to a degree, explained a paradox. If you're becoming a client of All Star Dental Academy, you have a growth mindset. And so when you reach that inflection point and it's time to invest in yourself or take risks, maybe those people are doing it. And so then that ceiling, they're able to lift it. Perhaps, who knows? But if you're listening and you were really getting jazzed about that case study that Eric did with Ricky Bobby and Ginger, and you want to learn more, Eric and his team train offices in all things non clinical, phone skills, case acceptance. He mentioned that they do their own event every year. The 2026, it's going to be in Fort Lauderdale. It's a 2-day event where leadership training, team development. And so if you believe that there's opportunity for your team to be better at case acceptance, you have to check this out. Go to allstardentalacademy.com. And Eric, thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome having you on.
Yeah, I love this sort of conversation anytime.
Thank you for listening to The Extraction with Colin Ambler and Kyle Bergman. Read episode notes and transcripts at teamcaredental.com.